Great. We're starting to get a good stack here, so I thought we might go ahead and kick this off. I'm sure others will join as we go. So thanks everyone who's here to join our recorded Pattern PXM intro and the future state of AI in the e-commerce space. Pretty exciting topic, and we're thrilled to be at the forefront of that. So my name's Jesse. I'll be kind of the host as we're running through the webinar today, hitting several different sections of Pattern PXM and AI and e-commerce and really how that can impact you guys and your brand and your roles. But sometimes it's fun to start off with a poll. Some questions that pop up to just get you thinking about the direction we're heading. It also helps us understand the kind of audience that we're dealing with. So we're going to throw a poll up. If you guys wouldn't mind cruising through, there's only 4 questions. They're pretty quick. If you cruise through a couple of things that help us understand where we're sitting, and then let's get into it. Unfortunately, I don't have any Jeopardy music that I could be playing right now. But anyways, we got the routine. And if there's any questions also, just in regards to the poll, or in general, there should be a Q&A section that you can go ahead and list your questions in, and then we'll be sure to get to those at the end of it. And so just feel free, as we're going, throw questions in there, and we'll make sure we reference that. Awesome. We get some good answers rolling in. This is awesome. Just as they're coming in, I'll kind of keep people updated as how we're trending. Google Drive and Dropbox, those ones always show up. Quite a few of you here do have PIM systems. You might be looking into alternatives and see what else is out there. And about half have some sort of digital asset management, which is great to see. I think the overwhelming, as far as question number 2 so far that we're seeing, is time to update listings. Close behind that was just consistency across channels. And so nearly all attendees wrote time to update listings, which when you have multiple marketplaces or distribution channels to update, or D2C or .coms, that can be really tough. So super interesting to see that. You probably saw a hard pivot, question 3 and 4, into AI. And that's really what we're going to focus on in the back half of this. So, have you used AI to generate copy that's live on your site? So 2/3 said no. 1/3 said yes. That's impressive. The second part, question 2, have you used AI to generate images that are live on your site right now? I wasn't sure how many hands were going to go up on this one. Very, very similar. So about 1/3 or 1/4 of you have used AI generated images that are live on the site right now, but overwhelmingly nobody really has outside of that. And so really interesting. I hope we can show today a little bit more about AI and the impact that can make for you guys. Well, anyways, thanks for participating in that and getting some good insight. So to kind of kick this off, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about who we are and what we're going to talk about today. So Pattern is, you may have heard of Pattern. Pattern is the #1 seller on Amazon. They're the global marketplace accelerator. And one thing that makes them the #1 seller is not only I would say their ability to win and convert, but it's really behind the scenes in their tech. And so they have, whether it's in the ad space or inventory space or syndication space, Pattern is using and leveraging and creating the best tech on the market. And that's really what accelerates Pattern to win on the digital shelf, to win on marketplaces. It's not just luck. They've put an incredible system into place. And luckily, we get to be a part of that. And so whether you work with Pattern or not on the wider type of marketplace play, their technology, like Pattern PXM, is still available to brands all across the globe. And so we'd love to show you a little bit about why people might use PXM, what is PXM, and then how it can potentially accelerate you guys into the next state. And so who's even talking today? So the agenda, we're going to start short. I'll give a quick intro, and then we're going to go live into PXM. We're going to show you what it looks like to manage content, how we can get it to marketplaces. And then part 3, this is like if there's ever any type of sizzle in some type of presentation, this is what you definitely want to stick around for, because it's the what's different and what can AI really do to accelerate us into the future, and how do we even adopt it? Like, what do we do? There's so much AI out there, and it just seems like spaghetti at a wall. This is actionable, can help you increase conversion and really drive your sales. And then at the end, we'll have a live Q&A. And so hopefully this is a really good content today. So myself, you've probably already been hearing me talk for a while. So I'm Jesse Knight. I'm the VP of Sales over here at Pattern PXM. I've been with the company for quite some time and have been in this space for about 8 years. Our head of sales engineer, Steve Finch, he'll be joining us for the live demo section. And then what gets exciting as well towards the end, we're going to bring in our president of Pattern PXM to speak on AI, e-commerce, and some future state behind the curtain type of look. When people might wonder, how can I leverage AI? And what are you guys doing? What's the #1 seller doing with AI? This is kind of the behind the curtain peek of it. And so we're thrilled to show that off a little bit. So let's talk a quick second about just the state of PXM. What is it? What are we really looking for? So when you're looking at your global, this is marketplaces in general, right? We oftentimes play in like the Amazon space or the Walmart or Target or Shopify and all these channels that are really important. For instance, Amazon, they did over 430 billion in sales last year. What I was surprised about was to learn that Walmart actually did about 100 billion in sales in 2023. Way bigger than I was expecting. And then Shopify, of course, for your D2C and .com is always an industry leader. So when you're thinking about your e-commerce, a lot of us are focused on North America, which is amazing because there's so much opportunity there. But when you think about the global perspective, my goodness, like that's really where things start to go exponential. Of course, TikTok Shop's growing. So where we come into play with Pattern PXM and what can be really difficult for brands is when you look at the global landscape or even many different distribution channels or sales channels, when you have a SKU, and maybe you have different variants of that, maybe you have a color, you have a size, you got to manage that. And then you have multiple photos, maybe 6 photos, maybe 8 photos, maybe a video. And then you need to ship that out to X amount of retailers. Maybe you're only selling through 4 main channels. Maybe you're selling through 400 channels. So then you have to share that out to all these channels. And then you have your attributes. You have your copy, you have your weights, your dims. And then if you're international, you might have languages. So then you have my French copy, my Spanish copy, my German copy, my centimeters and meters versus inches and yards or whatever it is. And so when you start to compound this, it becomes pretty astronomical. And this is just a 1 SKU type of basis. And if it's highly variable, then we're really, kind of getting our hair pulled out when we're trying to manage this in spreadsheets or, outdated systems. Hey, what's right? Is this the old version? Is this the new version? Is this copy correct? And that can just be a really, really challenging thing, especially those who might have picked Dropbox and Google Drive in the poll there when you're trying to track the right version, resize and create different resolutions, even find the dang thing, and then match that up with all of your attributes and making sure that's all consistent. That's just a very challenging thing to do, especially when you grow your SKU count and you grow your distribution and sales channels. That just compounds and makes it really, really tough. And so that's kind of the genesis, or that pain point is really what led us to become Pattern PXM and help manage that for brands. And so as we've talked about some of the common challenges that we see people run into all the time. I've talked with thousands of brands. We brought hundreds of them onto our platform, but there's a couple of themes that always come up. One is our digital assets are all over. Where is it? Is it on Mike's computer? Is it on Share Drive? Is it in SharePoint? Is it in a digital asset management system? Is it the most recent version? We need this quick. Where is it? So we run into that quite often. And then the second part is, how do we get that to all of our channels really consistently, accurately, quickly? And this isn't just your content. This is also your data, your attributes, your weights, your dims. So when you hear syndication, sounds like a big fancy word, but essentially it's, how do I get my product content to my marketplaces in the fastest way possible? How do we accelerate you guys to make sure that you're increasing selling days, your product launches are going out quicker, that you have consistency across channels and really controlling that brand? With older or systems that aren't designed for product, it can be really tough and very manual and kind of hit my head against a wall type of motion. And so what we wanted to create at Pattern PXM was this source of truth. So when you think about the core of PXM, it's the source of truth. It's where you move your brand assets. This can be your logos, your images, your product videos. This can be sales collateral, but then of course, all of your data, attributes, weights, dims. We bring all of that into a source of truth. It's easy to search, find, share out to all your different marketplaces, your B2B partners, Shopify, Amazon, whatever you want to do. It's all pulling from a source of truth. And so your brand remains consistent, accurate, up to date, and most importantly, it's fast. We're getting you to those marketplaces before your competitors. And so there's kind of these 4 pillars that we stand on Pattern PXM. So one, we talked about that single source of truth, your place. So we're a DAM and a PIM. DAM is digital asset management system. PIM is product information management system. We're one and of the same in one instance. Secondly, this is a really exciting area, is content optimization. We're doing this a little bit, but this is becoming a huge focus for us, and we're gonna show you that at the end of this webinar. We're thrilled about what we can do on content optimization. Then we kind of hit on syndication. Hey, maybe we need to go to Amazon or Walmart or Target or Home Depot or Shopify, whatever it is. We can help with that. Let's get that quick, let's get it there accurate, and let's move fast. And then, of course, the digital asset management side is super interesting, where we're doing AI tagging, we're making things visible, we're auto-resizing all of your imagery and making sure that your creatives are moving quick, that your salespeople can find things quickly, your marketers can all get what they need, and your e-commerce people are driving to marketplaces and different channels. So these are kind of the 4 pillars that we stand on. And so thinking about this whole concept of AI, like how do we, as a brand, use AI to actually be meaningful? And so Pattern, being our the wider company here, they have more data than just about anybody on the planet, maybe second to Amazon on sales data. What converts? What doesn't convert? Who's the category leader? Like, why are they the category leader? What are my buyers saying? Like, all of these insights we're able to bring, and then we can create really actionable insights on that, which Jon, our president, will get into later in the demo. But thinking about creating data-powered imagery, data-powered copy, and how do we actually know that what's being created by AI is actually good, and it's actually on brand, it has your brand voice, and it's not just, well, cross your fingers, hope for the best that AI spits out something good. When it's powered by powered by data, that's actually what makes the AI powerful. And so we're thrilled to have you guys here today. And again, we have the Q&A section, so feel free to ping any questions in there, and we'll get to them in the end. But now I'm going to pass it over to Steve Finch, our product engineer. We'll lay that foundation for Pattern PXM, that source of truth, the DAM and the PIM, and talk through syndication. But that's the base to where we can build on that data and then flow into our AI tooling. So Steve, we'll pass it on over your way, but everyone, thanks for being here. We're excited.
Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate that. Excited to be with you guys. I've spent the last 7 or 8 years helping retailers or brands get their content out to various retailers and selling online. So really looking forward to sharing Pattern PXM with you guys today. Let me share my screen here. And to get started, we are going to talk about a couple of personas. As Jesse mentioned, we're really a PIM and a DAM. And what that allows us to do is actually be useful for a number of different teams and departments. So as we go through the demo today, we're going to be logging in as Lucy here. Lucy's our e-commerce director. And we also have Brittany here, who's our marketing manager. And then we also have Nathan here. Nathan's going to be our account manager, our sales rep, or really anybody that needs to access and share this information. And so we'll show you how each of these individuals can use Pattern PXM to help improve their efficiency and getting their work done. We're going to start here with Lucy. Lucy's got a few goals as the e-commerce director. She wants to grow the e-commerce revenue by 20%. She'd love to be able to expand to new marketplaces. You know, one of the things that was mentioned in the poll, everybody's looking to improve speed to market, right? We want to get to our products to market as quickly as possible, which is then going to lead to more selling days, right? But right now she's struggling. She's got some challenges that are hindering her from reaching those goals, right? She really doesn't have a single source of truth to where she has got all of her content. That includes, you know, digital assets, product information, all of that's spread everywhere. She spends a lot of time updating different spreadsheets for different retailers and destinations where she needs to send content. And that process is really manual. And so that takes a lot of time. And as a result, that can lead to data inconsistencies across the marketplace, which again can hurt the brand message as well as sales there. So let's jump in and show you how Pattern PXM can help Lucy. So we're gonna jump right in here, and what we're looking here as Lucy, we're looking at a catalog of some speakers here. So we have some electronics products here that we're going to be looking at today. And when she comes in, she can quickly see, you know, her catalog of speakers. We're going to jump down here to a specific type of speaker here. And we've got all of our different variants and colors here for this particular speaker. And if we jump into one of these particular speakers, this is a place where we can store all of that information for Lucy. This is where she can find all of her product information, all of her images. So this is really that single source of truth for the product. She's got her images. This is going to include product shots. It's going to include lifestyle images. She's got videos here. She's got all of her product details, you know, including the marketing copy. We have the ability to store different languages and translations. She's got all of her dimensions, heights, weights, those things, pricing, right? So all of that is stored here, creating that single source of truth. And then down below, she's got her documents. Here we've got a couple of owner's manuals related to these particular speakers in different languages. We can store different links here as well. And then I have all of my variants here, so I can see the different sizes, the different colors that this particular speaker comes in. And so I've got that single source of truth. And this is going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about AI you know, with Jon here in just a minute. And this is where all of that AI content is going to live, right? Is here on our product page. So as we generate those descriptions, those images, they'll live right here in our single source of truth. Well, you know, now that she's got all of this information gathered together, she now needs to get it out to the various different retailers, whether that be her own site, whether that be places like Walmart or Amazon. So what she can do now is actually use Pattern PXM to help her syndicate that this content. So all she has to do in this case is highlight the products that she wants to send. So we'll send these speakers. And then she can come up and select the channel where she wants to send content. And in this case, we'll select Amazon for our example. I think Jesse mentioned this, but Pattern, you know, is the #1 seller on Amazon. And this is how they get all of their content to Amazon. So I'm going to select Amazon, select my seller account here. And now at this point, I can decide whether I want to actually update an existing listing or if we want to go ahead and create a brand new product, a brand new listing here. So I'm going to select create product here, select my template based on my category of product. And then I'm going to select my image stack. So this is going to determine what images I'm going to send and in what order I want to send them in and what order they'll display on the page here. So once I've done that, I'm going to continue to now and review this content against Amazon's requirements to make sure that, hey, we're meeting those requirements before we send the content. Because I'm sure, as many of you guys have experienced, it can really slow things down if we send the content over and they're like, hey, this isn't right. you've got some errors here, they send it back. We've got to make the changes, send it again, and kind of go through that back and forth process. So we're going to actually validate the content against those requirements before we send it. So I'm going to hit review content here, and it's come back here, and I have 18 problems here, 18 issues where, and if I scroll over here, I can see that I'm missing some data in some required fields. So at this point, I can go through and enter some data here. I'm just going to say we're going to do power desktop speakers here across all of this and fill that out. And then I've got some dangerous goods regulation that I need to fill out here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select an option here. And I'm just going to say not applicable. And now I've got rid of all of those checks. Now we know that my data is ready to go. So at this point, I can now come and I can syndicate my content. And what's great about this is when I actually do syndicate the content, any changes I've made here, I can actually save back to the PIM. So I can update my product records with all of the changes that I made here to make sure that I can use them going forward for Amazon, or if I want to use them for other retailers as well, I've got the ability to do that. All right. So at that point, we'll go ahead and we'll syndicate that. Now I have a record and I can see exactly the history of that syndication. Was it accepted? Did it go through? This is the one that we just submitted. We can see that those 14 products were accepted at that point, and I've now syndicated that content to Amazon. Right. Now, let's say, we need to go somewhere else, and maybe there isn't an API connection. A lot of people we talk to have 8, 10 different retailers where they have to get content to. And a lot of those retailers don't have the technology to receive that content via API. So how do we actually get the content there? So we can, again, get your content anywhere it needs to go. I'm going to come back to my set of speakers here that we were just looking at. And again, very similar to what I did with Amazon. So we're going to come here and we're going to select a channel. But in this case, we're going to select Best Buy. And with Best Buy, we don't have that API connection, but we do have their template. And we know what format the data needs to be in to be able to upload the content to Best Buy. So I'm going to select my electronics template I specifically have for Best Buy. And I'm going to select my image stack, again, determining the order of images that I'm going to send. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're actually going to export that data into the template for Best Buy. And so now I have all of my speakers. I have all of the product information that they need in the order that they need it, in the format that they need it. And if I scroll over here a little bit further, I even have my images. So these are my CDN links that we have generated that allows me to send images as well. So I've got all of my product data and all of my images, and now I can take this and upload it where I need to go. So, if we've got APIs like Amazon or Walmart or other retailers, we can use that to send it directly. If we're maybe sending content to other retailers where there isn't that connection or they don't have that technology, we can use these templated exports to get data there. All right. So we've talked a little bit about Lucy, right? Lucy now has one place where she can store all of that content for all of her products. Right? She doesn't have to go to different places to gather that information. She also no longer has to manually update spreadsheets to get that content where it needs to go. And that manual process of actually syndicating has been eliminated now. And so she's able to get her content out online much quicker, and allowing her to have those selling days that we're looking for. So let's now jump back to our persona slide here, and we're going to now talk a little bit about Brittany. And Brittany is our marketing manager. You know, some of the challenges that she has as the marketing manager, right, is really she struggles to maintain brand voice and consistency across the different marketplaces and the different places where they're sharing content. As she's building out campaigns and content for various things, it can be difficult to organize that and for people to be able to find the content. And of course, I know I work with a lot of sales guys, and sales guys are always using outdated content. So she wants to make sure that everybody's using the most up-to-date content. And then her team right now spends a lot of time resizing images for the various different platforms and places they need to send content. A lot of the retailers require different sizes or different formats of images. And so her team spends a lot of time resizing those. So how can Pattern PXM help Brittany? So let's go there. So I'm going to jump in as Brittany. And when Brittany logs in, this is taken to her homepage. And this is where she can come and find and organize all of the content that her team is working on. So if we come over here to the digital assets area, she's set up a hierarchy to store all of her information. She's got all of the branding and logos here. In this case, we've got a couple of different brands within the system here. You know, we've got our Skull Candy, our Kanto, our Goal Zero, and she can organize her content by brand, again, making it easy to find here as well. She also has her campaigns and all of the information related to those campaigns, right? So any digital assets that we've created, videos, PDFs, any of those types of assets, they're stored here, organized by campaign, making it really easy to find. And then I also have some lifestyle images here. So as we're putting together product shots and different things for our products, we can store those lifestyle images, and these can be things that we can use in various different ways, right? I'm going to drill in and take a look at a couple of different products here, or images here. And I'm going to jump to this one right here and talk about some of the DAM capabilities that we have that helps Brittany and her creative team work more efficiently. Right, so first I'm going to jump in here, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to help Brittany's team and take away the need to resize images. Her team spends a lot of time doing that. And so you'll see here, Brittany's uploaded her most recent, up-to-date, biggest file here, you know, highest resolution file here. And what we're going to do, or what Pattern PXM is going to do, when we upload these files, we're automatically going to create different sizes and different formats. So I've got my large size here, then I've got my medium JPEG, my PNG, my WebP here. And so as people come in and they need to download content, or if they need to send these images or videos to certain places, and there's requirements around that, I can come and select the size and format that I need. So Brittany's team no longer has to resize images, and you'll be able to define what those sizes are, right? She also has the ability to store different versions of an image, right? So I can, and what's great about this is Pattern PXM is going to make sure is that, let's say I'm a sales rep and I'm coming to download and access this information, that I'm only going to see the most recent version, and I don't have to worry about somebody downloading out of date or old content, because I'm going to see that new version and be able to download that there as well. We also do operate as a CDN, so I can generate links and share those out, whether that be to your Shopify or D2C site, or you know, send that to various different retailers as well. A couple of other things that we're going to do as well to make things easy to find for images is we are going to do some auto tagging using AI. So here, as we uploaded this image, we've automatically tagged this. You can see some of the tags here. And so if we were to search for anything in any of these tags here, of course, this image would come up. We do have the ability to upload tags. So if you already have existing tags, we can upload those, as well as you can come in here and add additional tags as well. The other thing that we're going to do is we are going to also pull in any text. So you can see it says choose your car, start a reservation on the screen here. We've actually pulled that into our OCR data, and this is now searchable, right? So if I were to search start a reservation, for example, it would pull up this image. This is great for like ingredients on a label. This is great if you're like running a particular campaign and you have a campaign slogan and you want to find all of the assets that have that campaign slogan on it. So a lot of great ways to be able, or use cases to be able to find content using this OCR data. One other thing I want to point out here under folder tags is we have the ability, because we are a PIM and a DAM together, we have the ability to link that information here. So you saw earlier, I searched for a product. I was able to find all of the images and assets associated with that product. I can also go the other way, where I come find an image and I can say, okay, well, where does this image reside? I can see the product here that it's with, and I can also see the lifestyle folder that this lives in. And so an image can live in multiple places at once. And one other thing that I will touch on really briefly with Brittany here, one of the things we talked about was outdated content. We have the ability here to publish and unpublish or archive content automatically. And so in this case, at the end of 2026, this image is going to automatically be archived and won't be available for use at that point. And so you can, for example, if you're prepping a product or some images that maybe aren't ready for consumption yet, you can mark that as unpublished. And then I can say, hey, we want this to be available starting, the end of the month here. And then at that point, this will automatically show up as available to my end users. Right. So we've talked a lot about digital assets and the ability for Brittany's team to be much more efficient in being able to organize her data, being able to search and find and use AI to help with the tagging, no longer having to do resizing. Let's now move to Nathan. So Nathan's our end user. Nathan's the guy that's going to be coming in, trying to find the content, to be able to use it, to be able to share content. And some of the challenges that he has is, where do I go to find content, right? It's all over the place. And is it up to date? And then how do I actually share that content out with the people that need that content? So let's jump in and show you how this works for Nathan. So Nathan, in this case, he really just focuses on Canto and speakers. And so you'll see here, his view is really limited. He just has the ability to come in and see products that are specific to the speakers and the brand that he works with, right? Now he knows that there's a back to school campaign that the team is working on, and so he's looking for those images that he wants to be able to use and send out and share. And with that back to school campaign, there's specific products. Those speakers that we talked about earlier are going to be a part of that. And so he wants to be able to share this out with his various account that he works with. And so he can do that quite easily. We found all of our back to school digital assets here. And so I can come in here and I can highlight these. And now I can actually come in here and I can add these to a lightbox. And I am going to go ahead and give my lightbox a name. Oops. So I've now added those images to a lightbox, but now I don't have my products. I'm still missing some of that. And what's great is because everything's in one place, he can just come here and find the products that he's looking for, right? So he can just come in here, find the products that he's looking for. We'll use those ones that we used earlier. And I'm just going to add that to the light box that I just created. And so now I've got a light box that includes all of my products and their images and their information and all of the marketing material and campaign assets there. And now I can go ahead and share that out with everybody I need to. So I'm going to copy that link. And we'll show you what that looks like here. I've now created a catalog of assets and products where anybody can come, if they've got this link, can come in, view the images and assets and download that content. So here I've got my different images here, and as I'm downloading that, I can select the size that I need here as well. And as we scroll down here to our images, this is where I can come and I can see all of the information right here. I've got my videos or my images, my videos, my attributes, my product content, all of my documents and my variants. And so now, anybody that has this link can download this content. And so now sharing content has become much easier for Nathan, being able to find that content and then being able to share it out with the people that he needs to there. So that kind of wraps up my portion of it. We'll now turn the time over to Jon, and he can talk about some of those new and exciting AI capabilities that we're going to add on top of this. And so I will stop sharing my screen here and hand the reins over to Jon.
Great, thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. So I guess we've covered a foundation, the foundation of creating a central source of truth. That becomes really important as we go into this next phase, as we start talking about new features that we've enabled and created to really empower your teams or you specifically as you're trying to manage content, optimize content. One thing that we commonly come in contact with is if we're talking with all of these different brands, they could be very large brands or it could be SMB. Typically the e-com teams, the teams that are tasked with managing this content and getting the content delivered and optimizing content, they're generally very small. Even for really large enterprise companies, those teams tend to be under 6 people trying to manage global operations. And a lot of times we even see potentially 2 to 3 people that are tasked with these, pretty enormous responsibilities in terms of optimizing content and getting the content where it needs to go. So what we've done is we've leveraged the data that Jesse was talking about, the 30+ trillion data points, e-commerce centric data points that Pattern owns. And as you may know, as you've probably become more familiar with like the AI tools out there, not all AI is created equally. So what I mean by that is the output of AI really depends on the inputs. And because we have proprietary data, consumer-centric data that we pull from a lot of different areas, we're able to do some really exciting things in terms of optimization for your products. So I'm just going to jump in over here real quick. This may look familiar. Steve has run through this. This is our central source of truth. I'm going to go ahead and just search for a single product here. And let's just say I'm looking to do some, review on this particular product and look for ways that I can optimize this particular product. I could go ahead and select this product, and then in the system, I can click optimize, and we give you several different options here. You could do an optimization for SEO content, or we can run what we call a content brief. So if I go ahead and click this is going to go ahead and generate a content brief. Your optimizations are then over here found in this tab. And when you come over here, you would see here's a list of products that I've run an optimization, a content brief, if you will. So we'll go through and we're going to dive in and show you what a content brief looks like. So here, this is the diffuser that I ran this optimization for. Now, prior to this, the brand, you may have multiple brands or you may have a single brand. You would have uploaded some content that we would go ahead and use for this top section. And I'm going to go fairly fast through these sections because I do want you to get an overall view of like the types of data that we can give you. So we won't go too deep, but just to know, like any of these data points that we're looking at, we have lots of data that you would be able to review to see how we got these insights. So at the top here, we're going to go ahead and you would see some brand specific details. Some of this would be pulled maybe from a style guide. This also could be data that you've manually entered in terms of the brand's voice and tone. We'll also pull some of these metrics from your own social media, your direct-to-consumer website. So you can get an idea of like what your brand is, and then you can also see how you stack up against your competitors. So we'll pull up here, some market share. You'd be able to see who you're competing against and give you a visual representation of that. I'm going to go down here and click this next section here. So attributes and reviews. This section here becomes really important. As you scroll through here, you'll see key attributes, potentially differentiating attributes noted by the star. But you can see here what this is showing you, these two numbers. It's just showing you a percentage of the products that have it, and then a percentage of the sales that are being generated by that attribute in this category. You can also see here things, negative and positive sentiments. This becomes not only, very helpful for your teams that are managing the listings, but this also could be very helpful for your teams that are doing product development. There's things in here that maybe, they may want to, on their packaging, point out, maybe they want to create some content about connectivity. Here you can see that, the product mentions the negative, reviews are fairly high compared to the competitor mentions. So they may want to create a better way of helping the consumer, get their device connected, and maybe they want to create some content for that. So you'd have overall negative and positive sentiments. As we go down here to this next phase, we do pull and offer you personas and demographics. Again, some of these may be pulled from your brand guide, personas or demographics that you've identified, and then we'll add to that and supplement that with potentially personas or demographics that you guys were not on your radar and you weren't aware of. We'll also tie in some frequently purchased products with that. And then this section here, this is really interesting. So what we've done here is we've compiled search and keywords into what we call search families. And this is a visualization where you can actually see very quickly where there's opportunity for you to make some changes in your content to gain more market share. So as we look across this graph, the blue is what's being done in our competitive set, our competitors, and the green is what we that's for our particular product we're looking at. So as we look over here and we see the smart home technology diffusers, you can see they're doing very well in that category, in that search family. They're getting 80%, 87% of the traffic there. But here, when we look at these home and room scent solutions, you can see they're only getting 5% of that category. This would be a great place to start. You have a lot of opportunity to go and create content that's specific to this search family, and really work to go ahead and gain as much of that 63% that's being dominated by your competitors. Over here, you would actually see search terms that break down into that roll up into the search family. And again, like I said, you would be able to click into this data, double click in, and get all of the data that supports these findings here. Okay, content archetypes. This is really exciting. So what we've done here is we've scanned the listing. We've seen the content that the winning companies or competitors are doing in that category, what they're using, and we're comparing that to your listing, and we're showing you where how you're performing against the winning brands in that category. And additionally, we're scanning the images, so all of the images that potentially are being used in your image stack or on this product listing page. And what we've done here is we've given you like a visual mapping of the images. So along the bottom is conversion rate, and along over here we have all of the products that have that particular, what we call image archetype. So an image archetype might be a companionship image that would contain two different people that are in the same photo. It might be like a zoom in details. It might be like some type of infographic that's listing like ingredients or whatnot. So we've identified those. Again, green would be what's live on your listing, and then blue would be what the winners are using that are currently not on your listing. So here you can see this lower right quadrant, so high search and not as many competitors on that particular, using that particular image archetype. So here, this is this particular image archetype, an ingredient showcase. So they are using that, and it's a high volume for conversion. Here you can see a zoom in detail focus. So they're not using that. It converts well. There are quite a few people that are using it on their product listing, but they may want to consider creating an image that has a zoom in detail focus here. So you will be able to quickly see the image archetypes that you could use to increase conversion and increase sales. And lastly, we'll give you an overview of the suggested strategy on what you should do to optimize this listing, both written SEO, keyword-based search, and then also from a creative standpoint, what types of imagery you should create to really optimize that listing. The first launch of this, we are going to be able to, you would be able to download this. This would come down in a PDF. You could hand this to your creative team, to your copywriter, and they would be able to use this as a roadmap to go ahead and optimize this product. The future state of this is we are working, and our teams made a lot of advancement in this, but we would be able to click this button and we would not only go ahead and generate SEO written content to optimize this listing, but then you would also be able to see suggested images that were generated with the products and the additional suggestions that we have made in this particular content brief. That would include potentially creating infographics with text that was suggested in here that will help optimize your listings. So the whole goal here is we're trying to really accelerate your teams, small teams, to really be able to move quickly, not only to have a central source of truth for all of your content, but then to be able to like quickly move, iterate, optimize your products, your listings across all of the channels that you work in, and create an easy way to like optimize your content more frequently. Again, this AI is really powered by the data that we have. And because Pattern owns those 30 trillion plus data points, it gives us a really incredible opportunity to give you great insights as you're optimizing your content. So we're going to go ahead and I think we're going to move to the Q&A section now. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump back to the slides, and then we're going to go ahead and open that up for any of the questions. I believe, Jesse, we may have some questions that you guys have fielded, and happy to go ahead and answer any of those.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks, John. Thanks, Steve. So a lot to be excited about. So obviously we set, as Steve mentioned, we set the foundation. You got that source of truth, your DAM, your PIM, funny acronyms, but hey, it is what it is. Assets and information in one place flow out to marketplaces, but future state, what we think is going to be really powerful is how do we optimize the content going to marketplaces? And that's what John was talking through with content briefs. How do we surface new insights, understand buyer personas, which can really help with, or review sentiments, which can really help with even product development, R&D. And so really exciting stuff where you can optimize your content, get it back into that source of truth, and then go out to the world and go out and syndicate and run that again. Let's optimize it again because things change, keywords changes, seasons change, competitors change. And so it's really good to continue to optimize and see what's out there in the world. And so Q&A, a few came in. One of the early ones during the PXM was, what retailers does PXM have API connections with? Great question. And I can take on this. I'll talk about current state, and John, maybe you can take on future state. So current state, Amazon's the gorilla. So when it comes to API connections, we have API with Amazon 1P, 3P, and then also Walmart, an API connection being close behind Amazon, well, not close, anyways, behind Amazon on the global e-commerce scale. And then Shopify, we also have an API integration with Shopify as well. John, I thought you might want to touch on kind of where we're driving on the product, but we knocked down kind of the big three pretty quickly.
Yeah, sure. So there's a list of other retailers that are coming online. Again, we're just working through the retailers that have API connections. As Steve mentioned, not everybody has that. There's several things that are, that we're working on additionally as well. Is any of you that have syndicated products, even with an API, you're very aware that, that content can be rejected or there's errors. So we're pushing forward in two ways. We're establishing additional API connections. We're also creating a way that we have a team of e-commerce experts that could help with error resolution, opening tickets, and then even like the manual syndication process where you would be able to seamlessly click syndicate. A team of experts would be able to go, and even if it was a manual syndication, upload the content to the marketplace. And you as an end user, all that you would see was you syndicated and now the content is updated. So that's really kind of the path. We're aggressively adding new syndication channels for anybody that has APIs. And then we're also delivering a way for you to easily get your content to the marketplace, to the channel, to the retailer, with the use of some of our e-commerce experts on the back end.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Question number 2, can you resize images to custom sizes or is that predetermined? Awesome question. So you might have seen in the DAM portion, we take your master file and then we'll resize that for e-commerce. So say you give us a TIFF image and you need that to be a WebP format or a PNG or a JPEG in a different resolution. You can actually within our system say, hey, every time an image comes in, our master file, we want to recreate very custom sizes. You can do that. The brand can do that. You can set that yourself and say, hey, I want these sizes to be created every time a master file comes in. Great. We'll do that for you. So great question. So we got 4 more questions. Another was, we use Salsify. What do you feel are your key differentiators? Great question. So Salsify is anybody who is familiar with syndication may have heard of Salsify. Salsify was probably one of the first movers or early movers in the space of syndication. And they're known to have, decent PIM and some syndication capabilities. There's some pretty big gaps though, where we fill in. And a lot of that is into the digital asset management space when it comes to actually managing content outside of product content, your marketing collateral, your sales collateral, your logos. We're fantastic at that. Also, as you know, if you're using Salsify, they're pretty tight on users. It can be really expensive or cost prohibitive to try and add a lot of users. And so one thing that's unique to us is we're meant to have a ton of users. So we have a B2B portal. We have some brands that have thousands of people across the globe getting into PXM to access the content they need, but it's all on a permission-based system. And so if you don't want them to see pre-launch product or you don't want them to see certain SKUs or whatever, no big deal. You just permit them to see certain things. And that's a very common thing that we see as a big differentiator and need for those maybe smaller mom and pop shops or agencies. The third thing is truthfully Pattern. Pattern being the leader in e-commerce with Amazon and having their data and driving through to AI, we have really powerful insights to continue to enhance our product that is actually in line with brands because, well, we actually sell product. And so we need software that helps people who sell product move quicker and adopt AI. And so I think those 3 things are probably the biggest differentiators for us. Fourth, how do we go about implementing PXM? Killer question. If I had to go and build software and implement it, that would be tough. And so we take that in-house. We have a team that helps build the systems out. The biggest lift for the brand really is getting us data that is validated, saying, hey, this data is clean, it's good, this content is up to date. You ship that to us, we're going to build the automation, we're going to create the hierarchies, we're going to make sure that everything is organized in the way it needs to be. And of course, we'll train the admins and make sure that everybody feels really good about it. But it's not typically a huge lift because we have some pretty good automation built in the system. And then we have people on our team that do this day in and day out to take that by the reins. Another fun question, how much does it cost? Great question. So classic, it depends. So there's a few different levers that we pull to understand what does it cost? Well, how many SKUs do you guys have? How many marketplaces are you in? How many sales channels? Are you global? Are you regional? How much storage do you guys need? Are there different types of APIs that we need to help facilitate? And so there's a few key questions that we go through the sales process. And of course, like what functionality do you need? Some might be really interested in a PIM and that's it. Or they might, hey, we want the whole enchilada. And so just really understanding that. So we'll have a QR code actually at the end you can scan. And if you want to get a quote or do a little more, then feel free to chime in there. And then the final question, does a content brief, which is what we just ran through, does a content brief gather data from my competitors? Great question. So yes, we do go through and we're able to determine especially category activity on how you and your competition are doing in that category, who's converting at a higher rate, who's winning the keyword search terms, what's their review sentiment versus your review sentiment. And then you can start to really understand maybe content that they have that's converting that you don't have. And maybe that's why they're converting higher. And so we can surface those insights and you can determine, hey, do we want to actually implement these insights? Because it's showing that our competitors are converting at a higher rate than we are. And so with AI, we're able to do this at an incredible rate. And so we're able to surface new opportunities. But that's, I think, one of the most powerful things about this is it's not only telling you about your own content, it's using competition as kind of a benchmark of, well, how do you stack up against competition? Are you ahead? Are you behind? How's the category doing? How are you doing? And making sure that you guys are capturing all of that. So great questions there.
Just to add to that too, I think what is really relevant as you saw that we went down and we drilled down into like a single product. The evolution of that, that's coming, the iteration will be, let's just say you're a brand and you're wanting to go into a new category. When you're doing that product launch, how do you know like what's actually being done? What's best practices? What are the competitors in that space? The ones that are winning, what are they doing? You would be able to also get category specific insights, not necessarily for a specific ASIN or a product, but you would be able to get category insights to really help your teams as you're developing your go-to-market strategy on what you should be using for content, what keywords should you be focusing on to really go into that category and perform well kind of out of the gate versus trying to figure that out by trial and error.
Yeah, awesome context, John. Looks like the last and final question, or right in line with time. So is this tool only for Pattern partners? Great question. So when you say Pattern partners, Pattern's core model was where they represent your brand on Amazon. But their tech, like Pattern PXM, is not limited to being a Pattern partner. So if you want to just use our technology, like Pattern PXM, what we demoed here today, 100%. You can use that, license that, run these content briefs, manage all your content, syndicate to platforms, 100%. Pattern uses it for sure. Pattern uses it to syndicate to their marketplaces they represent brands on. They use content briefs to optimize their own content and the brands they work with, which I think is a big key as to why they are the #1 seller, because they have this data and they can generate insights and make changes based on the insights we surface. And so with these tools, we want to, of course, make that available to others outside of the Pattern ecosystem. So yeah, if this is something that you think, hey, I don't know if that Pattern buy and sell model is perfect for me, but you know what? Their tech is pretty awesome. Let's dig into that and happy to do that. So yeah, if there was anything else here today, feel free. Oops, sorry. I think I might've missed one additional question here. Did we get it all? I think we got it all. So yeah, feel free to hit up that QR code, select a time with myself, and would love to get to know you a little bit better and see if we can help. But everyone, thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your afternoon and hope to be in touch.